Hi, welcome to Broadway Speaks Out. I am Martin Gould Cummings, the host, and I'm here with Brian Charles Rooney, who starred in the Threepenny Opera revival on Broadway. We're going to talk to him today about his career and his stance on the LGBT issues that are facing the theater world and our country as a whole right now. So, Brian, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what it was like to do such a large show like Threepenny Opera, which had people like Alan Cumming and Nellie McKay and Cyndi Lauper in it?
It was pretty amazing. Everybody that I worked with on that show, I have incredibly fond memories of. And I hear all these rumors all the time about, I heard once someone asked me, is it true that Cyndi Lauper had demanded that they build a soundproof wall backstage so she could warm up, before the show? And I just was like, no, not at all. I mean, she's one of the most gracious, kind of loving people I think I've ever worked with ever.
That's great.
She's incredibly supportive, and I got to bond with her a lot, I think, because we weren't really in Act 1, and so during rehearsals, a lot of times we were kind of off on our own, or, working on our stuff by ourselves, and so we would, get to talk. And she was just very supportive and very encouraging, and another, in relation to, LGBT issues, she's incredibly supportive of the community and very active. She's always doing something.
She does the True Colors tour with, Rosie and Margaret Cho.
And makes, a crap load of money for the community and for AIDS research. And it's something that a lot of stars do, because I think they think it's risky.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know how risky it is now, but I guess it would have been, 10 years ago to do something like that. But she's really been active for a very long time, and I met her sister during the run, who is an out lesbian, and she's very sweet, and I can tell that that's obviously where the root of her her inspiration comes from for working for the community, but I think it's just part of her makeup, and it was something I could relate to. She talks about making a difference through getting parents to teach differently. And that's kind of true for any prejudice or anything really. If you want to make a big difference, it's kind of a good idea, I think, to preach to people about raising your children in a different way, which I think is happening more and more.
I think more, especially this new generation. Yeah. I think is the next generation of kids will definitely be supportive, and people like Cyndi Lauper, and then that whole cast is very LGBT supportive.
Yes.
Obviously, that entire company.
There was no weirdness between anyone, or no hookups either, which at least none that I know of. There may have been one or two, I guess.
May have been one or two.
For 5 minutes or something. But
now, do you feel, because you played the role of Lucy in the show, and a lot of that has to do with your extreme talents and your acting ability and your vocal range, and I know you did a Twist, which is the show that I came into later after Brian left, and you just did Bedbugs, which you received an award for. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, roles like this, do you feel, because your role in Twist was a gay role as well, the Artful Dodger, and then in Bedbugs you played
Dion Salon, which is a send-up, a gracious send-up of Celine Dion.
Who we love.
Yes, but I guess technically does fall into, the campy kind of context of funny LGBT Charles Ludlam-inspired theater. But yeah,
do you feel it's like do you feel you're kind of just put into this pocket of roles, like
sometimes, but not always. It depends on who's seen what I've done.
Okay.
Because on the one hand, I have done roles like that, and on the other hand, I've played roles like Homer and Floyd Collins. I've done that twice, and was lucky enough to get a nomination for that in an awards contest. And then I played Tony in the West Side Story tour in Europe for a while.
Oh wow.
I've sung the Phantom songs on the Music of Andrew Lloyd Webber tour in North America. So those are kind of more, conventionally masculine kind of thing. Or like Raoul and Phantom, I went in for that recently.
Which is a not gay role at all.
No, and it's, it's in that, when you might be right for something, I think it's easier for that casting director or director to to leave the whatever baggage, at the door that they might have legitimately because you've played a certain role and that's recent in their mind. If it's not the right fit, then that's going to be the main problem. I mean, and I think that there's you have to be careful about how you differentiate between, I went in for this part and, it's because I'm gay that they didn't want me. And it's like, well, maybe, but maybe you're just not right for it, or I wasn't right for it, and that's certainly, I think, the older I get, I look back in my calendars and I occasionally just look back just for the hell of it and because it's nostalgic. And I think, I went to that audition and I'm like, what was I doing there? I'm not right for that part. I might be in another 5 years, or I might never be because, I'm not, Paul Bunyan type. So, where, you might relate to their story, but you're not going to look like that part to somebody. But then there's the other side of it where you have control over whether or not you're right for it because you can trick them into thinking you are by acting it, or look at, they should be, as corny as this sounds, as true and faithful to what you believe is right for you. And if it does mean you're going in for this part that you're not physically right for, then keep going in for it and when you figure out, that it's not because of your talent, but because you might look a certain way or sound a certain way, then change it.
I think you're such a valuable person for the LGBT community to see. I think you give great insight to young viewers who are trying to discover who they are, and
Thank you.
I think you're a very strong voice for the LGBT theater community here in New York.
Thank you for saying
absolutely.
that.
And
I noticed that through Facebook, that what you were saying, that there are it's a great kind of venue for meeting people and talking, but I found that a lot of young LGBT people, thankfully, are more open, and a lot of the theater, ones that were involved in theater, like maybe in their high schools or their colleges, like I'll get messages from, and it's really inspiring to hear that because, when I was in high school, no one was out.
Yeah, it's a whole new wave of people who are becoming comfortable with being who they are.
It's very different, and I think there's a lot of thanks to be paid to the people before all of us, who took chances. Someone like Nathan Lane, who's out and proud and has probably suffered a little because of it.
Harvey Fierstein.
Yeah, Harvey Fierstein.
Who's just Harvey.
Who's been out and active since he started.
And written shows about it that...
Yeah.
When they were written,
they were big milestones, and they're not just, they weren't just written to be,
gay shows. They're written to be love stories and stories of humanity,
and people, straight or gay, want to do them because they're great material.
The country's moving forward rapidly, and it is in thanks to people like Harvey Fierstein and Nathan Lane and Alan Cumming and yourself, who is essentially.
I'm scared to talk about to name more people that I know because I'm like, I don't know if they're out or not.
Well, I think everybody I just...
Well, those people
those people are out. And I'm like, and this person who I know is gay, and this person... The list I could give you.
And this person that I hooked up with? No.
But again, thank you so much for coming on the show. And we will post on our blog and website upcoming appearances by Brian, so you guys can keep an eye out. And we'll give a link to his blog, so you guys can check him out as well.
Excellent.
And stay tuned.